of pressure from all kinds of threats, and disease is a big one. And this is a new one that's been introduced to Cayman. It was first discovered in Florida in 2014. Since then, it's made its way around the Caribbean. It had devastating impacts in Florida. Up to 80% of the coral lost. Multiple species are impacted by the disease, so the potential for us to lose a very, very large part of the coral on Cayman's reefs is significant. And of course, coral is the primary framework builder on the reefs. Everything starts with the home that the coral builds.
For those who may not fully appreciate what it is, and share with us, give us not only the scientific part, but I think too many times we as individuals are, if I can borrow Mr. Bill Adams' words, a little bit too lazy when it comes to reading and trying to understand, too unwilling to take initiative and become, even though we use the word as become cliche, empowered. We rely on others. I can always talk about the free riders, but it needs to be an action-oriented approach to doing something. So what is it, and are there more than, share with us.
Well, I'm really glad I brought
me too.
Dr. Croy and Tammy with me, but I will have a go, and they'll interject and correct me where I go wrong.
Right.
But the truth is, they don't really know what it is yet. It is a disease that's impacting coral, but we don't know if it's a virus, or most likely it's a consortium of bacteria that are infecting the tissue, the live coral. So for most of the people, they'll probably understand, but a coral is an animal. It has a tissue. It just has one skin that connects multiple animals. The coral is getting sick and it is dying, and that tissue, the living tissue, is sloughing off extremely quickly. And it's then getting passed to other corals. There are some, what we're calling kind of like early stage corals that bring the disease to the area. They're very susceptible to disease. Once they get it, they get fully infected, and it then passes to some of the less susceptible species till about 20 to about 20 of the species in the area. There's about 50 coral species in the Caribbean, but there's about 20 species that this disease is known to impact, possibly more. And they're the majority of corals that we have on our Caribbean reefs, our Cayman reefs, are being impacted, and they're basically killed within a month, 2 or 3 months. The entire colony goes. And bear in mind, coral takes a very long time to grow. So we're seeing corals that are, 30, 50, up to 100 years old that are being lost in a matter of months.
I mean, someone told me that it takes so long to grow, even longer than my hair. So
mine stopped growing.
Yeah, that is something. But Dr. Croy, from that perspective, I asked it this way because I was speaking to someone earlier, and they said, as an analogy, look at leprosy to the human. Could this be similar to what it is, coral to coral? Put that mic close there and share with us. Let us be as educated and as informed so that we take proactive action.
And though as the scientific community is trying to figure out exactly the modes of transmission, we know that it's transmitted by touch as coral to coral, and also the by water circulation. And it's sort of, as Tim mentioned, these susceptible species, particularly 4 species, they get infected first and sort of spread after that. We sort of categorize them like little fires. And once they're infected, then the infection rate is sort of between highly susceptible, medium, and low, and it takes its course throughout the reef. Most diseases throughout history has been host-specific, meaning mainly infected 1 or 2 different hosts. They were actually seasonal in the sense that during the summer months when the water is warmer, the disease would flare up, but it would also die down in the winter, cooler months. This one is not affected by temperature or any seasonal fluctuation at all, so it continues throughout the whole year.
So perhaps even with the temperature fluctuations, maybe if it is affected, we don't have sufficient variance for it to even be noticeable.
No, it's noticeable on our reef.
Okay.
Other disease, say black band, is more prevalent in the warmer months than in the cooler months, and there's no data that shows that it goes up and down. And according to seasonal fluctuations. One of the weird things about it is the fact that bleaching seems to slow it down a bit, and that is sort of
almost not.
But that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
Because normally that is a detriment to the animal in itself. So
this is the thing. I mean, I deliberately called someone because of this discussion. I wanted to have a little bit more insight than just the reading and stuff. And she was former UT marine biologist, did some stuff here, and we just connected up, and I was saying, okay, give me 5 minutes, and I ended up getting 8.5 minutes. So I'm looking for a bill for that one. But it was good to connect up and to get an appreciation. But what we've seen in Cayman, as you mentioned, we've seen in other Caribbean places. But in Florida, they've seen it significantly, and we're wondering where we are. So you referenced the 4 species earlier. Maybe if I could ask, sometimes we go in the water and we don't appreciate what we see. We may see fish, and we go, that's a grunt, that's a bar, that's a snot, and we know the differences. But we see coral, we go, Many of us thought it was a plant. Now we know it's an animal. So those species, maybe tell me at some point, the different and the predominant coral species that we have, and then the impact of the stony coral, tissue loss disease on those species. And then we'll talk about the notion of, it was initially this part of it. How far has it spread? Are we at threat of looking at the North Sound? Are we looking potentially to the Cayman and Cayman Brac? And then, if we were sort of going to game it out, where would that sort of impact us globally? Could those be things that we talk to? All right, we'll pause shortly, take a break, come back. I'll get educated and informed. You guys will enlighten me. End of the day, I can use some big words and prepare, pretend to be photosynthesis. Not just kidding. As the small kids were telling me earlier this morning. But it's fun. It's fun to know that we can make a difference when we act with a collective heart. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. When we return, our good friends in DOE will still be here. I'll try to keep them nice and calm. We'll see. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The following is a paid political announcement by Prospect candidate Ms. Sabrina Turner.
Prospect residents, you are invited to a public meeting on Thursday, March 25th at 7:30 p.m. in the parking lot of the Kitchen Jerk Center in Prospect. That is Thursday, March 25 at 7:30 p.m. For further information, call 926-8080.
The proceeding was a paid political announcement by Prospect candidate Ms. Sabrina Turner.
Calling all gamers.
Practice play is over.
Go! Get ready for 2 days of
non-stop competition, fun, and excitement.
NetGeeks Media is proud to present
the return of the Caribbean's #1 esports event and gaming convention,
Gamers Bay 5. Now celebrating our 5th anniversary, Gamers Bay is going down March 27th and 28th at the John Gray Gymnasium.
If you think you have what it takes, you can compete for over $10,000 in cash and prizes. Compete head-to-head in titles such as Fortnite, Super Smash Bros., Call of Duty Cold War, and FIFA 20.
See and try the latest game consoles and virtual reality headsets. Lots of free play for PC gamers, console gamers, and VR of all ages.
Special guest influencers will be in attendance.
For more information and to register yourself or a team, visit GamersBayCayman.com.
Proudly sponsored by NetGeeks Media, Domino's, Pepsi, Enterprise Cayman, C3 Pure Fiber, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Education, Youth Services Unit, Kimpton Seafire, Radio Cayman, Simply Computers, and Suzuki.
On April 14th, it's your chance to make the right choice for West Bay South. But before that, let's all get together to make a statement. I am Raoul Nicholson Coe, your choice for West Bay South. Please join me at the Heritage Square located at the four-way stop on Saturday, March 27th at 7:30. Let us speak on all the opportunities we can create here in West Bay South and throughout the Cayman Islands for better education, for better housing, for better employment opportunities and mental health programs. It's time for a new time. See you on March 27th.
Good day, this is Dr. Croy McCoy from the Department of Environment, and this is an important announcement for all boat operators, divers, and snorkelers. Stony coral tissue loss disease is having a devastating impact on the Cayman Islands coral reef ecosystem. Pathogens on dive gear may survive for extended periods of time and can be transferred among reefs. If you're diving or snorkeling anywhere in the Cayman Islands and before traveling between Grand Cayman and the sister islands, please disinfect your boat bilges and dive gear and a 1% bleach solution for 10 minutes before diving or snorkeling in a new geographic location. For more information or to make any reports, please visit our website at www.doe.ky.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And thank you for each and everyone who truly make a concerted effort to respect and value our environment, to do what we can, from putting the litter in its correct place to recycling, to be respectful and responsible when we go into the water, whether around the corals or whether we, maybe I'll learn the proper name for it back on the periwinkles up back us. When we're walking and trading amongst the sand and the turtle grass, that we're actually respectful and appreciative of what is there. And maybe we just don't leave footprints, but we just take memories in the end of the day. We are the good company of Mr. Tim Austin, Dr. Croy McCoy, and Ms. Tammy Warrender from DOE. Stony coral tissue loss disease. We should just call it death to the coral if we're not careful. Because that's basically what's going to happen, right? During the break, we were asking you to give us a perspective of the impact, and maybe start by helping us as we go into the water to understand some of the predominant coral species that we have, so that when we see it, would that be something that might be helpful? I see a grunt, I know a grunt. I see a snapper, I know a snapper. But a barra and a wahoo could look alike if you know. So don't train eye, right? Miss Tammy, help us there, Mom.
For coral reefs, they're incredibly important corals. They make up the building blocks. They're like the houses that provide homes for all the species that you just listed there, the snappers and the grunts and other fish and all the invertebrates and things. So all these corals make up this structure that is so incredibly important to the Cayman Islands in terms of fish species, for health, well-being, protection from storms. So with the threat of stony coral tissue loss disease, it's actually pretty scary, because in the future there might not be as much protection, because it will slowly diminish through time with not having that abundance of coral that we can see today. And it's a term called shifting baselines, which is really interesting, because you mentioned during the break there when you seen the corals when you were younger and you went out on the reefs and you seen all these beautiful colours and all the branching corals and things, and if you went out now, it's not as abundant as it once was. But after this disease goes around our islands, it's going to be even more of a dramatic change, and our reefs are not going to look like how they do today in a few years' time.
Well, with that, as we continue our discussion, maybe let's just go to the phones. Okay, Dr. Croy.
Just adding a little bit to it, Tammy said, it's a known fact that once you start to lose that three-dimensional structure, rugosity of the reef, there's a sharp delayed decline in fish populations. And so ultimately, in the end, you end up losing both. Not just because you lose a coral, that's all you're going to lose. You lose all of the organisms that are associated with that, because you have to think of this thing is so tightly connected. That's why we call it an ecosystem. So each animal sort of has its own niche within the whole system, and as the populations of whether it's corals or anything, any other animal dies off, it has a total impact on the whole system, and it has some plasticity into it, but that can be exceeded when you have events as such as where you start losing all the corals.
I guess the knock-on effect for those who are more selfishly inclined is us, I want to come back to that, but let's join the phone callers. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon, how are you?
Not bad at all.
All right, thanks for sharing with us, man.
Yeah. I'm calling about this Department of Environment and the new marine parks they just put in.
Okay. I only other respect for our guests and the discussion, but if we want, we can engage them. Mr. Tim, we are talking about the stony coral tissue loss disease, but if you want to reference the marine parks.
Absolutely. Whatever, I don't know what the question is going to be. But marine protected areas is one of the tools we're using to combat that disease. So.
Okay, sir. So share with us then.
Okay. number one is in Kimmonbrack, we got one fishing area on the beach. The whole of Kimmonbrack is a marine park. And it would have to be a mountain goat to go on this spot where they have the fishing area.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke with somebody about it already, and they told me that it wasn't the Marine Conservation Board that did this. It was our representatives that put this in place. So I don't know what's happening or what's going on, but I think it's a highly disgraceful thing of what they're doing. And I am a man that is 70 years old, and we cannot walk where mountain goats can walk to cast out a line. In my opinion, is that they have 25,000 people here in the islands on work permit. They're eating from the very sea eggs to the periwinkles. They should have been made to pay a license to go on the beach to fish. And during this corona crisis, government been supporting them. Kimmonbrack is the only place, Kimmonbrack and Little Cayman, that you can go and in 2 minutes pick up a pail of soldiers. You can't find them in Grand Cayman. And pretty soon they'll have them depleted because they do not buy bait from the stores to fish in. So I would sit down and wait for an answer from these people on it and see what's happening. Otherwise, from that, I'll beg the voting public not to vote for their representatives that we have in the Cayman Islands now, because they ruin us. My grandparents, their grandparents, everybody. On Saturdays and Sundays, we walked the beach and picked up a meal of wilts or fish, conch or lobster. Now they got the lobster season open when the lobsters is spawning from January down to March, because they don't know what they're doing. When I was a kid, the only export we had from the Cayman Islands was thatch rope, coconut, and dry grouper that we used to transship off the islands to Jamaica. You know? So I would like to get a response on that, on what they're trying to do to the local people that is not right. They talk about human rights, well then
yes,
the local people do not have human rights when it comes to what they have just did.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that, and certainly appreciate it. Have a wonderful afternoon, sir. Mr. Tim?
Yeah, I'm happy to try to have a go at that. You raised a lot of points, and first of all, I'm really sorry that you're disappointed with the approach that was taken. The whole idea was certainly to make sure that the fishing rights that you enjoy remain sustainable for the rest of the many generations of Caymanians that are to follow. Your point about the entire Cayman Brac being no fishing except for one small beach is probably a little bit exaggerated. Hopefully you'll be able to see the maps. I'm not familiar with the Brac and fishing, but I know Dr. Croy is, having grown up there. So the placement of the parks within Cayman Brac came through a lot of public consultation. We met with many of the user groups. Hopefully you were involved in that. We took feedback, we took comments. We've incorporated that into the design. The parks we started in 2010 with the scientific study that went behind it. We met multiple times in the BRAC with community members and indeed the political representatives. They had a lot to put into it. So hopefully the system that's in place today or being introduced into the BRAC is the best compromise for everybody involved. I'm sorry you feel that it doesn't suit your purposes, but hopefully when you get to see what we're planning and what it looks like, you'll be able to rethink that opinion. Agree with you about the fishing licenses. It's a controversial area. It's something that gets raised a lot, and it's something that we probably will look into. When we first started this process, licenses would be extremely complicated to police, so we went for the idea that by increasing protection we could move away from licenses and everybody would be able to benefit from a sustainable design of a marine protected area. the lobster stuff is. I have to just disagree with you. I hope respectfully you won't mind that, but we had scientists here at DOE that did a lot of work at looking at the spawning seasons. Yes, lobsters can spawn all year round, but there definitely are peaks in the earlier months before the winter period, so the lobster season was reduced in the months and was hopefully out of any form of peak spawning activity. So that there was some science that went into that, as much as there was science that went into the planning of the Cayman brack layout. I can pass to Dr. Croy. He may have more to add, being a native bracker. So.
No, just picking up on the lobster thing. I was part of that study for almost 3 years, and we used to work off of what the Florida had for their open and closed season because we didn't have our own data. And we established, as Tim mentioned, that they spawn year round, but the season that we thought that were the least likely to with the gravid females with eggs was during the open season that we have now. That's why it was changed. So it's all based on solid scientific facts and data as to what we have right now.
All right. Well, we do have another call online if you guys want to join us. See what our call is. Sharon, hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Good afternoon to your panel.
Afternoon. So how are you, sir?
Rough regular force urban ugly.
Blessings to you, my friend. Blessings.
Thank you. I looked at the map yesterday. Distinctively looked at it yesterday. And I was very, very upset. I don't go fishing much, actually. Almost non-existent. But what I have seen have practically hindered all Caymanians from going out there and throwing out a line, unless you go over the drop-off. How many are the poor Caymanians that used to go out there, throw out their lines, catch your fish, or two, one to sell and one to eat, and now they can't do it?
Maybe, and I'll defer to expertise of the DOE, but maybe a future discussion on, given elections is I think 5 hours and 14 minutes now. Elections are, but maybe if not possible, do it before elections, definitely after. More discussion in the marine parks, but we can focus on it.
Absolutely. I'm sure we can have a whole show, and I spoke to John Bothwell before I left, and we're happy to come on and talk about that because this is a really big subject, and like I say, there's a lot more people involved than Tammy Croy and myself that would benefit to be part of the conversation.
Right. Respect for the caller, I think we'll ask them if they want to weigh in further on it. Unless there was something else you wanted to share, we'll pause and then we'll come back. We want to focus on this, the impact and the potential threat to not just what we see now from the stone coral tissue loss disease, but the notion that maybe there are things we can do. And we've heard the PSAs about disinfecting our dive equipment. Easter is coming up, so maybe after the break we can get in specifically on that, and hopefully we can see that there's much that we can do, and certainly if we ignore it, it won't get any better. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Now you'll never have to choose between two desserts at Subway. The new caramel brownie cookie is 2 treats in one. Imagine sweet, gooey caramel with decadent chocolate chunks baked in brownie-flavored dough and topped with a light drizzle of caramel icing. And you have the new caramel brownie cookie, available at Subway. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious caramel brownie cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert. Available at all Subway locations. Subway. Eat fresh. And now, a paid political message from Georgetown West candidate Dr. Kenrick Webster.
Now listen here. Everywhere I go, I hear people talking about they're not voting. I know you're disappointed, but you got to try at least one more time. Come on, guys. We got to give this one more try. In Georgetown West, on a vote for Webster. He's always helping and making a difference. I know he's the man for the job. Vote Georgetown West and vote for Webster.
The proceeding was a paid political message by Georgetown West candidate Dr. Kenrick Webster.
The Chamber of Commerce, in association with Foster's, is hosting a series of candidate forums. Candidates from each of the 19 constituencies respond to questions submitted by the public in a recent online chamber survey. Watch the forums by streaming the Chambers or Radio Command's Facebook or YouTube channels on CIG TV or Logic Channel 23, weeknights from 7:15 p.m. Visit caymanchamber.ky for up-to-date election news and candidates' profiles. The forums are also proudly sponsored by DART, Affinity Recruitment, and Bodden's Legal and Corporate.
Making a dent in traffic congestion is everyone's responsibility. This March 22nd to the 26th, join your community for Car Free Week, a countrywide initiative by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, carpooling, cycling, public transport. Join a park and ride program, or perhaps working from home. Your boss will understand. Visit energy.gov.ky for more information for park and ride options. Take the Car Free Pledge and enter into the raffle. Traffic may stand still, but the Car Free movement is moving ahead. Join your community. Take the pledge March 22nd to the 26th.
Everyone is invited to come out to a meeting by Ezard Miller on Thursday, March 25th at 196 Northside Road, Cynthia's Yard, Old Man Bay at 8 p.m. That's a meeting by Ezard on Thursday, March 25th at 196 Northside Road, Cynthia's Yard, Old Man Bay at 8 p.m. All are invited.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to, I honestly say this, the work of the DOE. I say it privately and I say it publicly sometimes, but it seems like your efforts are, thankless and without the appreciation that we should ascribe to your efforts. And I think if we start to draw alongside, we can see the consequence of, what we've done. But are we willing to stay here and look forward to what would be if we don't do something? Sort of reminds me of what a story with the teacher talking about the frog in the water, and as you turn the heat up slowly, the frog will stay there. If you throw it in the water bottle, it'll jump out. Maybe that's the problem. We don't see the impact, Dr. Croy, of what it is down the road because it's probably not in our generation or not in our political cycle or not in our budget calendar year or whatever it is, right? So stony coral tissue loss disease, Dr. Croy McCoy, Timothy Austin, and Ms. Tammy Warrender, I'll just share with us. Are there things that we can do now to mitigate? Is it reversible or is it like everything a fait accompli?
Well, at the moment our response is trying to do things that we can control and mitigate things that we can't.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many aspects. One of them is we're doing antibiotic treatments and priority corals and stuff, which seems to be working. I'll let Tommy elaborate on that here in a bit. And we can control things such as dive gear, dive equipment, snorkel gear, from one area to the next, because we know where it's contained at the moment.
Okay.
So people that dive there or utilize that any in-water activity, if they could disinfect their gear, would be doing something towards containing it.
Right.
And I'll let
Tommy.
So the disease has been found in Cayman waters since June 2020. And since it has been found, it's been spreading slowly towards the west. Well, it's not slow in terms of coral disease. It's a mile a month that's been spreading, sometimes half a mile. And we think that's because of some of our efforts to try and slow down the disease, where we don't think that we can stop this disease. Everything that the Department of Environment is doing at the moment is to try and slow it down and give us enough time as possible to try and find out what the pathogen is and try and devise a cure that will get rid of the disease. But for that, we need to just slow it down so that it doesn't engulf the island. So like disinfecting your dive gear is one method of doing that, because if you went into a dive site on the north side, for example, where the disease is, or at Makabuka, it's now at Makabuka on the northwest, and then didn't wash your dive gear and went onto a site anywhere else in the Cayman Islands, you could spread the disease. So one of the big things that we're trying to push right now especially is the fact that it's not in the sister islands, and it's not on the south side, it's not on the east side, it's not in the marine park as we're aware of yet, but dive gear could potentially start making it spread sporadically and not in the continuous moving from where it originated. So by disinfecting your dive gear with 1% bleach solution, or we're also pushing to use ammonium-based disinfectants because they can be friendly for your gear. We're also asking people to disinfect boat bilges, specifically when travelling from the north side of the island anywhere else, and definitely before you go to the sister islands. We realise that there's some boat traffic that goes across there for Easter break. So we're just trying to control that. That's our main objective just now, is to try and limit the pathogen spreading in the waters to areas that it's not there already.
On that note, could I just add that the Sister Islands is a big concern for us. As Tammy mentioned, it's only in Grand Cayman. We want to try and limit the spread between the islands. And in doing so, the department's been arranging training and information sessions, and we've got 2 coming up in the Sister Islands. The first one in Cayman Brac will be on Monday the 29th of March. At 6 p.m. in the evening. Expect that to run until about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and that'll be at the District Administration Conference Room. So again, Cayman Brac, Monday the 29th of March, 6 o'clock. And then on Little Cayman, we'll be there on Tuesday the 30th of March, and we'll be having the same time frame, 6 in the evening till about 8:30, and that'll be hosted at the Little Cayman Beach Resort Conference Room. And if you come to those, you'll get all the information you need to know about what you can do to help and what is happening, what we're planning to do, and you'll hopefully become fully aware and trained and able to identify the disease, which is a big help. We want people to report to us if they see it. So hopefully that'll help the Sister Islands in the response effort that we're planning for those guys.
As I listen to you more and more, I'm thinking about it on a terrestrial perspective. When we had the pink hibiscus mealybug, we were asking, if you're in this part and you're taking clippings, look at what you're doing, disinfect your gardening tools and the like. Not dissimilar to what we're asking with respect to dive gear, if you're going to dive here. Now, being able to identify it. So you're an avid snorkeler, diver. Can you go in and see it, or do you need to be a trained, PhD or a budding candidate for such? Can you see it and know that there's something noticeable?
Well, I'm going to jump in here, but yes, you can see most coral diseases. So, as you described, corals have vibrant colours. They look healthy. Browns, yellows, kind of reds and purplishes. They look good. Yeah. When this disease strikes the coral, it has a very distinctive areas of breaking down of the tissue, and there's a very thick, strong white line, which is basically the coral tissue bleaching and dying as it transfers. So you see the coral looks blotchy. It is all over the coral. These kind of dead spots, if you like, so the colour there's obvious changes in the colour, and then the longer it's dead, you start to see algae growing on it. Coral scientists aren't that imaginative with their disease names, so we have yellow band, black band, white plague, white band. So this one, stony coral tissue loss disease, describes the fact that the tissue is coming off of the coral. So
there's some marketing people involved with this one.
But I should let Dr. Croy and Tammy talk, because they're out there every day dealing with this, so they probably can give you some more pointers about how easily to. There are other diseases that look similar, but they're subtly different in how they approach the coral. So hopefully I've covered it all.
With this disease, you'll also expect a lot of the reef to be infected as well. It affects, like Tim said earlier, multiple 20 to 25 species. It starts off with those highly susceptible species, and then they start little fires that then burn through the rest of the species on that reef. To a great extent, the mortality rate is about 60 to 100% of those species. So there is a potential to lose some of the species from our reefs completely as the disease moves through the area. But if you are snorkeling or diving in the Cayman Islands, you can report to us if you do see anything like this. it is slowly progressing down the west side from Macabuca, so we are expecting it to enter the marine park within the next month, actually. So this is one of the areas that's most dived in the Cayman Islands, and it's not exposed to the weather as much as the other side, so I could imagine that most divers have been in that area, and it will be very impactful to see the difference between what it used to look like and after the disease gets there. But you can report these sightings to our site on EpiCollect. If you can download it on your phone, or you can use it online just by searching for EpiCollect 5 in Google, and you can search for Cayman Islands coral disease and bleaching. And it's a very straightforward way to import your sightings. It's very useful if you can send in photographs of what we've seen. We do get reports all the time, but we don't know if it's bleaching or diseased or what you're seeing. So if we have a photograph, it makes it really easy for us to see straight away if it's the disease or not.
Yeah. I think this is where we who use it, Dr. McCoy, we need to be the guardians and the protectors, and also, those helping them to do what we can to not make it a negative impact.
Yeah, what cover the key features of this new disease too is the rate it progresses. It been measured up to 3 or 4 centimeters a day on some species in the region, and we ourselves have measured 5 centimeters in 3 days, I think, up on the north. And it's also, most diseases are focal, when they start at one spot and spread. This one is multifocal, meaning it'll pop up all over, and the ultimate death of the animal. So it's very different from most other diseases.
It's kind of like the person who has, picked up some bacteria on the skin, whether it's flesh-eating otherwise, whether it's, chicken pox and the spots break out, or it's one spot, and then next thing, you're covered in a day.
And it's as contagious as chickenpox as well.
Yeah. And this is, I think, what we need to appreciate. This isn't just, for those who dive, it isn't just, that thing in the water. This is impactful economically, socially. It could be our very survival in terms of sustenance, but also, I'm not one of those for the end game scenarios, but we could be looking at something like that if we're not mindful.
Absolutely. I mean, the marine environment is absolutely crucial to the Cayman Islands economy and to the livelihoods of the people that live here. Yeah, I mean, the loss of anything to do with the sea is really a travesty. So we'll do what we can. I mean, the whole of the Cayman Islands has been built by coral. You walk around, there's not many places where you look down and you can see anything other than rock that was produced by marine creatures over the many, many millennia.
I think the more we start to draw analogy between what we do and what we don't know. For instance, if you like solitude and bird watching, for instance, if you like the escape of what Barkas has to offer, if you're fortunate enough to be over Little Cayman now, even more so, but that's reserved for the privileged, Little Caymanians. You can see when that space is interrupted according to what you think it should be. Well, not unlike what's under the water, right? And that's going to be a consequence that we can address.
Absolutely, underwater or on it. Just, the reef is working its magic underwater, but it's benefiting us up on the land.
Exactly.
Those calm lagoons you like to go on the beaches, they're all a result of reefs, so we need that coral.
Well, we would like, I know you're busy, and when we see you on the water, we think you're having fun. Hopefully you are, but it's a lot of work. And as you're safe out there, as you're protected from the rays of the sun and, the shouting of those of us on the show who don't appreciate your efforts, please accept the public invitation to come back, whether we talk about marine parks, whether we continue, educating us. But in closing, perhaps Dr. McCoy, you first, share with us.
I'd just like to reach out to the public in the sense of we can't do it all ourselves, and we're relying heavily now on volunteers, in addition to the fact that they can be our eyes on the reefs, and if they see anything, to report it via the EpiCollect app, or even if they want to call it in to the DOE and let us know, at least we can go and check, because one of the key features of being successful in this plight that we're trying is early detection and application of mitigating efforts, which we've started since June last year. So if they see anything on the reef, let us know. Take photographs, the location and send them so we can check it out. And that goes across all 3 islands.
There you go. If you wish, Ms. Tammy, any?
We are holding training sessions in Grand Cayman as well as the sister islands. So I hope that people from the sister islands can come along to those training sessions, and we will be letting you know through social media and on our website when you can come to a training session at the Department of Environment. But you can also reach out to us via email if you have a large team of people that want to be trained or want to learn more about the disease, and you're we're happy to share as much information about this threat as possible, because the more people understand, the more people that are caring, the more people that might become involved with the project. If you have good dive skills and if you're trained in nitrox and you have dive insurance, you can come out with the Department of Environment and work with us to help slow down this disease. So if that interests you, then please do get in touch with us.
Mr. Tim.
And that takes me nicely to the fact that we've covered a lot of ground today. Thanks very much for the opportunity to be here.
Our pleasure.
We've talked about marine parks a bit, and we've also focused on the stony coral tissue loss disease. All of this information, I know we've put out a lot, is available on our website. And as Tammy mentioned, go there and you can find out. And that's at doe.ky. And then I'm afraid I'm a laggard when it comes to social media, but apparently our address for social media is at DOE-Cayman. So hopefully that means something to people that work in social media. But there is a lot of information there. EpiCollect app that Tammy talked about, the marine parks information that's been brought up today, the maps, and all the stony coral tissue loss disease decontamination protocols. It's all there, and how to contact Dr. Croy and Tammy as well.
All right. Well, thank you all very much, man. And it's invaluable what you do. We really appreciate it. And sincerely, elections or no elections, after or before, if we can help to protect the environment, especially our beautiful waters across all 3 islands, let us know how we can help to educate, inform, and engage the public. Looking forward to that discussion going forward, all right? Well, let's pause and take a short break. When we come back, there'll be more talk today. Stay tuned.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Shana Gallego from Radio Cayman's newsroom. At around 9:45 a.m. this morning, the Cayman Islands Fire Service were called to the Georgetown landfill site following a fire detected in the metals area. Crews are working with the Department of Environmental Health to create fire breaks and bring the situation under control. Children have been sent home from the Cayman International School. Residents are asked to avoid the area if possible. Those in the vicinity of the landfill should keep doors and windows closed and turn off air conditioning units. Turning to international news now, European countries must not turn on each other amid growing tensions over COVID vaccine supplies, the president of the EU Parliament has said. The call for unity comes as EU leaders hold virtual talks to discuss supplies and improving distribution across the bloc's 27 member states. Some countries have complained that doses have not been distributed fairly. The meeting on Thursday will also see EU leaders decide whether to approve proposals to toughen export controls. Gun reform is expected to be another area of focus in today's news conference. White House officials on Tuesday said U.S. President Joe Biden was prepared to use executive action to advance stricter gun rules as pressure mounts on his administration to act following the latest mass shootings. The mass shooting at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado this week killed 10 people. Less than a week prior, the shootings in Atlanta left 8 people dead, including 6 women of Asian descent. Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday downplayed the prospect of taking executive action, suggesting it was up to Congress. And Chrissy Teigen has deleted her Twitter account, saying that the social media platform has started to serve her negatively. The model and TV personality, who had more than 13.7 million followers, announced that she would be leaving the site in a series of tweets on Wednesday. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shana Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to the DJ Lynn, between him and Paul, and when Susan enjoys her birthday and returns with cake, her too. Now we get a chance to share with our friends from UCCI. One day it'll be just UCI, University of Cayman. I know Mr. Roy Boydman will say, he's at that again. Well, I've never changed. Education, I think, is key, and it's absolutely imperative that we be those who seek lifelong learning. Dr. Stacey McAfee, thank you for joining us as President and CEO at UCCI. I think we can see great strides and promise for what lies ahead relative to the inclusive approach, but also our desire to make knowledge that thing that is not only accessible, but that thing that is almost on an equal footing for all and sunder alike. So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Nice to be back with you and your listeners again. Someone who has a shared passion for the importance of education throughout our lives, and I think together we've done some good work in terms of elevating the importance of education to our people and our nation, and I'm proud of the fact that this is one of the most important topics that we keep talking about.
I credit her mother. She's been a champion for education. She would point to her head. I can see it now, even with the great-grandkids. And she says, once you have it here, nobody can take it from you. That piece of paper, she would reference the importance of that. And it wasn't just that you had a diploma or certification on the wall. It was actually something that should, in mild words, empower you and encourage you as you nurture others. So, the Director for Admissions and Registration, and if you have been at all privy to see her hitting the box and bags.
Second career.
Ms. Thompson-Deasy, good afternoon. Formally, it's a pleasure to welcome you publicly to talk today as well.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Yeah, it's amazing what, a health of mind and body will do for an individual, and what that person who is so healthy and imbued with that stamina, endurance, and courage will do for the community.
Yeah, definitely.
Powerful stuff, man.
There you go.
I just love it, man. I just love it. But, we look at Cayman, and we look at the Cayman context, and I had, a few years ago, the opportunity to look at some extracts of research that talked about the importance of education relative to the uplifting, and maybe we'll borrow the term, the nation building of any particular society. But there was a little blurb there that showed how much money is not only spent on education by governments, by private sector, but how much money is made. Almost to the tune where you're looking at educational tourism. So the 2 billion plus that may go into the UK, economy, or the billion plus into the Canadian economy, the amount of money that is spent on education. Cayman is well poised to capitalize on that going forward. But anyway, that's another thing for another government.
Yeah, for sure. Well, education is nation building work across all areas, but investment, I call it investment, not spending on education, enables economic development. It enables societies to learn how to address the changes that are in front of them, and how to make sure what I refer to as inclusive economic development. Nobody is left behind is happening within the nation. As things inevitably change, our focus is to ensure that people have the skills, the confidence, and the ability within themselves to navigate that change and to plot a course forward.
We look now, this is almost end of March as it is, and we think about summer and we say, oh, that's so far away, it's going to be hot. But it should be from the perspective of what is the promise that lies ahead when maybe summer enrollment comes in. Maybe you have, as a mature student, more time because the children are engaged in other things, maybe work, isn't it? So whether it's Well, it's never too late to start and get into the process. So,
Amen.
How's that process, Ms. Donovan?
Yeah, so our summer enrolment is actually open now. It opened yesterday, I believe, and we've got a really full program for summer. It's a short term, summer term, 7 weeks, but we have something for everyone really, from certificate level all the way up to past bachelors, masters, and a lot of people use it if they're thinking of starting with us in fall. They come early for summer and do an introductory course, and then it will lead them on nicely in fall. So our current students may use it to finish off their current qualifications, or new students may use it to get on board and find out about us before fall. So it's a really good time to come to UCCI for the first time. And like I say, it starts on the 10th of May. The programme starts on the 10th of May, but registration's open now.
I think as I listen to you, like getting acclimated, maybe you do a summer session to finish off, as you shared, but maybe do a summer session to sort of prepare yourself for the vigors of what you think, maybe something you haven't done in a long time.
Yeah. Well, and something special this summer, because if you are a parent and you realize, oh my gosh, I do want to go back to school this summer, but my children are home, we are offering the vast majority of all of our classes in an online virtual platform. So some may remember during the pandemic, we switched all of our teaching and learning to that format. So the beauty of it is you're still in a classroom with your peers, with your teacher, who is, whether your class maybe starts at 9 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, you still all gather together, just virtually through Microsoft Teams or another platform that we might use. Just click on the link, you join class, and so it allows busy people to study from anywhere in the world, because maybe you're actually going on vacation this summer. Some people are still hoping that might happen.
Up the road to the Kimpton.
So from anywhere, UCCI's learning is available to you. And so we hope that means if you're a current student and you thought you would take summer off, that you'll still study, continue your education, progress towards your goals. And if you're a new student, there's no better time than the present, as Tamsin said, to get your application in and get started for school.
No, with that in mind, sometimes just that first step, whatever that is, we procrastinate, we think it's daunting, we probably don't feel confident enough as to how to navigate the process. So the continuing student for the registration, that new prospective student, is the process the same, and how do we go about it?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways really that people can come. They can come and find out about us, come down to campus, go into our one-stop centre. We have advisors there. They will be there throughout the summer, so the campus isn't closed. It's just that a lot of the learning will be online. So if anyone is, most people do it online now, so they can register online through our website. But if people don't want to do that, if they want to come and find out about us, we encourage anyone to come down and talk to somebody. So, the human interaction is always the best way if people are a bit wary, and we are always there to help people. So they can come in, they can chat to somebody, they can find out about what course is best for them, and we will guide them through it step by step. So it can be done online, or it can be done the good old-fashioned way, which is on campus, face-to-face.
See that? All right.
You can also email or call, so there's no excuse.
Of course.
And she says email for me because, you're old, you're to the email.
Right. But I agree with Tamsin that most people are really taking advantage of the ease of the online portal. You can upload any documents. So if you're a new student, anything, it walks you right through the process. You can also then make payment, and then you can go online and register for classes. Now, I will say this, because I keep saying this to you when I come in. UCCI is growing by leaps and bounds. In fact, over the last 2 years, the number of students we serve grew by almost 25%. And in the last semester, we grew by 18% year over year. So don't procrastinate. We want you to get every course that you want, and so it makes sense to get started. Registration did open yesterday, the 24th, and so go ahead and select your courses, get enrolled, and get started, or continue your studies this semester.
All right. Well, when we come back from our break, then let's just continue that, because I think more and more of us appreciate the importance of upskilling. We appreciate the time commitment, but oftentimes we are sort of unwilling to make that investment because we think, well, maybe next time or this. So let's get everybody involved and engaged, and when we return, we'll show you how easy it is as we continue discussion about UCCI. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
During the era following emancipation, not only did several districts in Grand Cayman see a population increase, but so too did Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, which saw the beginnings of permanent settlements, or in some cases, resettlements. In 1850, the combined population of the sister islands was less than 100. By 1900, it reached more than 1,000 people. Several forces seem to have fostered the population increase of the sister islands, one probably being when the Bay Islands became part of Honduras, which resulted in Caymanians migrating back to the Cayman Islands. The other factors included the increase in local opportunities in turtling and shipbuilding.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
I'm looking for a new pizza joint with that perfect crust. My car needs a bit of a tune-up, and my pregnant wife needs something from the pharmacy. So I turned to the printed yellow directory, and in an instant, the pizzas are ordered, the oil change is booked, and the thing that I'm not allowed to say out loud has been purchased for my wife. Problem solved. When you need something quick, do yourself a favor. Flip through the printed yellow directory. Stop searching, start finding. Yellow, we know local.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and always a pleasure for me to speak about education, to join champions who see the value to uplifting, empowering and nurturing a society, and that investment, as the CEO and president of UCCI, Dr. Stacey McAfee, reminds us, it's worth it. It pays dividends for generations to come. And together with the director for admissions and registration, Ms. Thompson Deasy, I think when we look at the wider Cayman community, and if you would allow me through you to remind us that a statue in town with the power of the women, not just that drive to ensure fairness of treatment, equal representation, equal participation, but it's reminiscent that when our Iron Men and those wooden ships sailed the high seas, 2 centuries, 3 centuries ago, their wives, mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, all the women were equally, stalwarts. So from that generation to these young ladies, if I can be permitted to say that, But thank you. This is where we are as a powerful nation, uniting, across many divides.
And I will just share with you, first of all, thank you for the compliment and acknowledging the important role that women have played through the centuries. And moms and dads, brothers and sisters, you all play a very important role right now. And here's how I've always thought about it over the years, that when you tell someone they should continue their education, it's because you believe in their potential.
Yes.
And we all need to hear that from someone. If you're a mother, you may not know that your actions, whether you go on to school or not, tend to be the biggest influence on whether or not your children will. So they learn by example. They watch. And so we've tried to ensure that within the Cayman Islands, a full breadth and depth of programs are offered here. So if you want to just take a non-credit course, and it could be on anything from cake decorating to bread making to QuickBooks. We have all sorts of courses like that. If you want to earn a certificate that will give you a step up in the labor market, whether that's an IT certificate around programming or coding, or it's a certificate in a technical area like electrical or plumbing or air conditioning. We do have certificates in those areas as well. And we also have the more traditional pathways, an associate's degree, bachelor's, graduate programs. And what we've said is we want to welcome students every semester into the university to get started. You don't need to wait until the fall. If you miss the fall, you don't have to wait till the following fall. If you want to be a nurse, if you want to be a doctor, we have, if you want to be a lawyer, all of the full range of things. If you want to be the next great developer of an app or a game, or you want to be a social worker, whatever it is that is where your passion sits, we are here to support you with quality instruction, caring faculty and staff, and quite frankly, a campus and an online learning platform for you. So we're here to meet your needs.
Something that I'm mindful of it because it is, as you shared the example, you watch your parents, and I think more often than not, it's the mother, respectfully to the fathers and the dads, but it's the mother. She reads, she may be artistic, she may write poetry, she may draw, and she's reading, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the historical romance novel. I'll just put it that way. But she reads, and that encourages you as a child to equally read.
Yeah.
You know, sports magazine, the fishing magazine, and more that you read. But education, we've always heard, is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter. You know, knowledge is not just power. Knowledge is empowering.
Yeah.
And through knowledge, you may become a great talk show host. I mean, I'm working towards that.
And I think that's where the online schedule will help this summer as well, because for the mothers or fathers that are at home with their children, it will give them more opportunities to learn, because sometimes the schedule makes it so that they can't get into the physical campus, and this will give them their first step back into education or to continue education, which is really important.
He's a very humble individual, but because he was just here with us early, and is someone that I admire, not just his aptitude, but his diligence. Dr. Croy McCoy over at DOE. You know, here is someone that I have known for a long time, and you see not just the humility, but you see the intellect, but you see the continued sort of perseverance towards education and sharing that knowledge. He'll be equally adept at baiting your hook and throwing it in the water to catch a fish, and then cleaning the fish and happy to prepare it and serve it to you, as he is to looking at a research paper. So we can be all those things because of our continued approach to learning. Reminds me of my little nephew Dwelly. Those are the things that are important, man. You know what, this is a good place. With that though, and being respectful of your time as you go by, for many of us, and many of us in particular as parents, we are understandably unwilling to make that commitment. I got work, I've got to tend to the children, I've got stuff. But maybe this summer will be that time that allows us to take the first step. Maybe it's a class or two. It may be that thing that we always wanted to do. I mean, I'd love to learn to make braids almost as good as my mother, but that's probably not going to happen, but I can try.
So we can sign you up today.
You know what? When she said that, I was thinking about the cake decorating sometime back, but the bread making might be something. I'm going to make a public appeal and see if I can get traction. And if I can, bread making, before you leave today, I'll ask you about that on a personal level. I've made bread once, and I think golf balls were much easier to digest than my bread. They fell from the counter, hit the porcelain floor, and a hole was so deep into the floor that I think my brother said he was able to catch fish. It wasn't good.
But at least you tried, and that's what matters.
And I tried again, and I thought, you know what, this isn't the time for something else. But even that, I mean, fresh bread in the morning without a bread machine, patience and perseverance.
And it's love, right? When you
it was a lot of
something
love.
like that for someone you care about, that
Yeah.
you put the effort into it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I used to bake bread for my family and it'd come out of the oven, and my grandma used to do it for us. And sometimes Grandma would burn some of the loaves of bread because she'd put 10 or 12 in the oven at the same time. And so my dear Uncle Tony would always make her feel not so bad, and he'd say, I'll take the ones that are burnt, Mom. And so over the years, Grandma would say, well, Uncle Tony, he likes the burnt ones. We're going to give him the burnt ones. And poor Uncle Tony always ended up.
You see?
Right.
Perspective.
Yes.
No, but even to that, I mean, and I can see, my vision one day at a university setting where there's the residences, but then there's the residents who live in the society going on campus for a presentation, or they're meeting for a culinary class, or they're meeting because there is some novel that was authored by a faculty member or another member, and there's a reading, and on that there is a book club. It not only for that student who is looking for the master's or the first degree, it's for that student who is perhaps retiring or wants another interest. Just like we go to the gym to exercise our bodies, maybe we go into the academic setting to build new skills, leverage our networks, and develop, lasting friendships.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, if it can happen in other parts of the world, why can't it happen in the best part?
Exactly.
One can dream and hope what lies ahead. That novelist, the Budden. Sorry. And it's only Wednesday? No, it's Thursday. All right. Ms. Thompson, help us though, because I think sometimes the registration process, if I may be in a few minutes of closing, fees, the process initially, fees up front, or we just get through it and then fees after?
Yeah, so everything is online. So if somebody's interested in joining us for whichever course it may be, they can visit our website. All of the courses are there. You can complete the whole registration and payment process online. So you choose the course that you're interested in, put in your personal details, upload any documents that it asks for. It will tell you what your fee is. You can pay it online, and literally from beginning to end, the whole process can be done. If you don't want to do it that way, as I say, you can come in and you can talk to one of us and we can do it for you, but everything is very straightforward and simple, and it can all be done at the click of a button.
That's probably what I would do, right? Just call it. Here's my numbers.
And pages of choices for students. So the learning keeps going throughout the summer, and as I said, we have a full range of things. Now there's a little fun piece I get to share with you, sir, as we're closing. So part of the reason that we are doing virtual classes this summer is because we have some exciting improvements that are happening to the UCCI campus. So by fall, students will be learning in renovated, beautiful classrooms. The improvements that we will start to see happening across the campus to the courtyard, to student lounges, to our one-stop center. All of those are part of the plan to get us to the vision of where we're going and serving our nation well.
Well, as we continue to champion education, as we people continue to subscribe to it, and the public and private funds collectively support it, we'll see what education has been like. We appreciate the institutions across the globe that have been there for centuries. We may not be around, but I will be. I mean, without question. It's 120 years more. But our children can be at those institutions and see it as, what they are. So thank you to your efforts as we become part of the cathedral building. The seed that we sow, will anchor our society for many.
Start May 10th. We're going to get you signed up today.
Yeah.
Registration's going on.
I like that. It's something that we need to do because it reminds us of the importance to continue to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Always, Dr. Stacey, likewise,
Pleasure. My pleasure as well.
All right. To our students, if you see me talk about education with a passionate smile, it's only because I've been giving a great example, and hopefully others will follow suit. One day, we'll be a society that values education as much as we value air.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to pause and take a break. We're going to come back and do some open line for the remainder of the show. DJ Lynn might actually be encouraged to talk. Well, he might be encouraged to talk. He might just be encouraged to not be quiet. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Georgetown West voters, Dr. Kendrick Webster is inviting you to a yard meeting Saturday, March 27th at number 73 Newport Avenue, Georgetown at 7:30 p.m. All Georgetown West voters are invited to a yard meeting Saturday, March 27th, held by candidate Dr. Kendrick Webster at number 73 Newport Avenue, Georgetown at 7:30 p.m.
Things just got a bit hotter on the island. Come in today and order the new spicy Korean subs at Subway. They're sweet, spicy, and especially satisfying. Stop in and try the pulled pork with spicy Korean sauce, or the chicken with spicy Korean sauce. And you can message WhatsApp at 929-4658. Order online or use Let's Eat or the Bento app. The spicy Korean subs at Subway in 2 flavors, extra saucy and extra spicy. Subway, eat fresh.
Between February 23rd and March 31st, CUC's subcontractors, UMC and PSCL, will be conducting aggressive tree trimming between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. in Windsor Park, Georgetown, and on Farm Road, East End. The trees and vegetation in these areas pose an imminent safety hazard to power lines. Motorists should exercise caution due to temporary lane blockages. Landowners, it is your responsibility to maintain the trees and vegetation to avoid future tree trimming costs. For more information, contact 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
This Easter Saturday, hop down to Bayshore Mall for Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore Family Event. Join us on Saturday, April 3rd from 4 to 6 p.m. for refreshments, cotton candy, popcorn, balloons, face painting, steel drums, and more. There will even be supersized Easter bunnies and a kid's scavenger hunt with chocolate treats. Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore Family Event is back. Saturday, April 3rd from 4 to 6 p.m. at Bayshore Mall in Georgetown. Free parking behind the mall. Visit kirkfreeport.com for more information.
COVID press briefing, I'm a Caymanian, COVID vaccine line, LA Zoom meeting.
What you jabbering about now?
That is some of the skits that they're doing in Rundown this year. Actually, you can lend me some money for the ticket. I'll pay back on payday.
Now you're really talking foolishness. Come get your laugh on at Rundown, the hilarious comedy review, starting Thursday through Sunday, March 18th to 28th at the Hartwell Theatre. Tickets on sale now. Visit artscayman.org for more information. Brought to you by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. Sponsored by Logic and Island Heritage.
Speak up at the polls this general election, April 14th, 2021.
Do the right thing. Exercise your democratic right and vote. A public service announcement from your number one community station, Radio Cayman.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And if you were at all inclined to listen, well, we ask you to even do so more now and to dial us 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037. If you want to WhatsApp, well, that's another number as well. You can leave a voice note. You can type it up and send it across, or even text to speech, however that works, or speech to text. Which one would it be, DJ Lynn? Well, he's the voice that you'll hear when you call. Can we again wish our colleague, Miss Susan Watson, a very happy birthday, and all the other things that are coming her way, well, speedy recovery and all the good stuff. This is a beautiful family we have here at Radio Cayman. It's a beautiful society in which we live in the Cayman Islands, and it's a place that we have to draw close to each other to make sure we make it even better. We heard, without question earlier, the importance of respecting our environment. I think there have been many, of our forefathers who have championed the notion that we have to respect, we have to protect, preserve, and promote what we have on our land and our sea. And we sometimes fail to appreciate that our actions have negative consequences. Not just consequences, but negative consequences. So from recycling to at the very least discarding of our litter in the right places is important, not just for future enjoyment when you return to that spot, but for others who may come after, not just for future generations, but for literally, you were there this morning, someone comes, in the afternoon. We also recognize that the DOE's efforts to remind us if we're snorkeling, diving, otherwise, even disinfecting our bilge pumps in our boats, that we disinfect our dive gear so that we don't potentially inadvertently move the disease from one part to another. Remember when we were asking our gardeners, landscapers, and homeowners that when we were threatened with the pink hibiscus mealbug disease, or whatever it was called back then, that it caused problems? Well, even when we move species from one island to the next or one country to the next, whether across borders or within the nation, we should be respectful that we are having an impact and a consequence that could be negative. So 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Obviously, this comes into play immediately when we look at, the dump is on fire. What's that song? The dump is on fire, whatever. Okay, well, that's the song. And it's not a song to be sung lightly, nor an issue to jest at. Look at the lost revenue as a result of the hours that are being consumed in traffic by us sitting there not being able to get to our children, to collect them from schools, to pick up our lunch, to move about our businesses and service our clientele. But the impact on the environment, the cost to the public treasury in order to fight it. But more importantly, the consequence of this thing being almost seems to be a futile attempt at managing and keeping it under control. Now, we can point fingers and level blame, but would it be more appropriate for those at the helm to accept responsibility and do the honorable thing? Now, likewise, what is our action going to be like going forward to not only mitigate the consequences of this occurring again, but to address it in such a way that future generations look upon us as we did our parents and saying that they made a willing sacrifice to make our lives better. Well, future generations look at us and say, wow, what a selfish, bunch of people who only were concerned about how much money they had in the bank. So we decimated the environment. We destroyed every tree. We destroyed everything that looked like, nature, from the paved spaces of concrete and asphalt to the high rises that blocked all the sunlight, to the air that tasted like bile, to the spaces that no longer were welcoming to families and friends who congregate, to an acrimonious, encounter amongst friends and family? Or is it a space where fresh air, the sea breezes just ease gingerly and gently amongst the trees as it rolled off the waves and over the beaches and into the sands? Is it an afternoon on your boat or sitting on a log watching the sunset? Or is it a day that you just playing, with your dog, whether it's a ball you throw, the frisbee or a stick? Or maybe you gently tossing, that football back and forth with your daughter. All these things, will be a consequence if we make a concerted effort to do the right thing or we ignore the obvious. Well, share with us, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can use that flow toll-free line if you choose, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. We had a number of calls and comments about the dump fire, most of which were not necessarily complimentary, but they were never necessarily pointing fingers at anybody. All of them, I think. And, I lost count after, about half a dozen calls, and then I realized there was half a dozen before that. All of them were from people who were irate. They were just upset. It was almost a year ago this thing happened. How is it happening again? Why is it happening? Well, maybe the answers are obvious. Maybe they're not. Maybe we don't necessarily, have any answers. Maybe we haven't even asked the right questions. Well, let's see if we can ask the right questions, and let's see if we can proffer some effective solutions. 949-8037, or the toll-free line is available to you. And let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, how are you? Good, man. How are you today?
Man, I'm great.
Great, man.
Just trying to enjoy all the blessings we have and
Amen.
grateful for everything.
Would you mind if I say at the outset, my blessings and prayers of provision and protection for you and the entire family, man, if that's okay with you? I wish you all the very best, man.
Same to you, and I appreciate that.
Most welcome.
I wanted to call in again. I feel like I might be calling in a bit much these days, but
boy, not enough to me. But anyway, I mean,
and I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think like I said before during one of the other calls, that
Mhm.
it's important, I think, for us to be aware of and be able to make some decisions based on what
Mhm.
we're aware of, right?
Right.
I just wanted to raise the awareness again with regards to the objection,
Mhm.
possibility of objecting to the proposal of that, the DART, PAD, the
Planned area development. Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to just remind everyone that tomorrow is the deadline for submitting any objections to that particular plan. There are a number of reasons why I think the public of the Cayman Islands should object to it. One of them being the proposal for dredging or digging out a massive canal going from basically the North Sound Basin that's in the Yacht Club area directly under the highway and into the area adjacent to the Kimpton Hotel to create basically another roundabout, but this time for those with mega yachts and those that are probably only for the owners of the properties that are going to be created with this development plan, which in reality it's probably about 20 or 30 ultra millionaires that can afford that particular property. So to destroy our island for the benefit of a handful, and you might have hotels and apartments there, but in reality we have 65,000 people on this island.
You sure that more than 165,000 people? You seen traffic recently?
Yeah. It's crazy sometimes how much it is, but and we've benefited from some of the good development, of course, and not everything is bad, but I have a particular concern about what they're proposing in this thing. What I wanted to share, new to me last night, and new to quite a lot of people, when I went to the West Bay Action Committee, and one of the speakers there who managed to review the plan, that at least this one that's been circulated, he noticed and shared with the rest of us who were there that if you recall, there is a large launch ramp currently in use at that yacht club on that area.
Towards the south side, I guess that is, huh?
Yeah, it's used by many, almost all the fishermen that I know in West Bay that have launched a boat. We used to launch from different areas, but that has been an open facility for anybody who wanted to launch their boat from there to get into the North Sound safely and in a way that is easy for bigger boats.
Right.
But come to find out or learn and can be corrected if he was wrong and I'm wrong, but I'd rather be at least on the side of caution here that this plan and this proposal is actually removing that launching ramp.
It would seem so, just from the plan,
Yeah, so, that's a particular concern that we are going to lose access to be able to enjoy the North Sound from a safe way. I think that alone should allow government and the planning authority to reject the proposal as it is, because from a safety of boat launching, which is foundation of Cayman and our founding fathers that went out to sea, they safely launched from many areas, and now in the modern day, that has been used to safely launch boats into the North Sound for, the enjoyment of going to Stingray City or just going out for a fishing trip or just to go and enjoy the waters that are here. So I wanted to make sure people were aware of that, and that, if there was an objection alone, that would be one. And the last part of it is the removal of all of the right-of-ways and the beach accesses that are being proposed to be removed. There's talk about possibly consolidating and making one big access versus having these multiple access points. But, that's all comfort to a fool when you actually, you kind of taking away all the rights that you have now to just give you one. So I think we all have to be concerned as a Cayman public, and especially those that truly love Cayman and consider Cayman a home. It's just not Caymanians that were either born here or that have come by other ways and means and become Caymanian. It is for every single person that enjoys this island to voice in their concerns, not only but it's very important that they write them and make their objections known to the planning authority and to the planning department, to the cabinet, to the DART organization. It's a particular name on the proposal by the name of Crimble Holdings, I think it is. But it's something that I think everybody needs to pay attention to, because they may call it a proposal, but we know that once something is passed, especially if it's passed the way it currently sits, it is going to be a massive change to the environment, to the way that we have come to live in Cayman. And I think every single one of us should be objecting to this thing as it currently stands, so that they can go back to the drawing board. And if they want to bring a different proposal that meets the needs of them and then also meets the concerns of us concerned citizens, that'd be great. But right now, I think the planning department, the Central Planning Authority, they need to reject this proposal. I've heard someone at our last meeting, or one of the last meetings, say that this is already a done deal, that it's already been approved behind closed doors, and that there's no way that we can stop this from happening. And given the legal steps that have to be taken, tomorrow is, I believe, the deadline. Based on their advertisements that they had to do for objections to be made. So I sort of, put some doubt on that statement that was made. But I think we've all seen in the past, and there's been a lot of discouraging things that have happened where people have protested, signatures were signed, and people marched, and some of that stuff didn't matter, right? But I think in this day and age, we need to still make a stand and fight for what is still currently there. And if those in the power and the authority that make these decisions, if they don't listen to the people that have put them in the place where they are, the people need to stand up. And
well, this is an election year, right?
Yeah, and it starts there. Like, we have an opportunity as a people to elect those that are going to carry through on the wishes of the public, and not after they get in, decide that 12 or 19 people, as it is now, along with a couple of special interest groups or companies, will decide the fate of the rest of the 65,000 population. We need to make sure that we are smart in our decision in electing whoever it is that's supposed to go in. And
right.
Hold them accountable, and that drives the one other point that came up, with regards to district councils and particular West Bay. But we need to form and get this law passed where the district councils can be legally recognized and be given, the powers that are there to be able to hold the politicians that are elected accountable. So I think it's incumbent on every single one of these candidates that are going in to promise, and it would be best that they put it in writing, that as soon as they get in, all of them work together and make this district council happen within a very short period of time. Not all is promise of hot air and
but as usual, man, you make good points. I hate to interject and interrupt you, but as we go to the break, keep it up. I mean, and as I asked the last time, so that it's not a voice first for me, but the actions and proposals of developments within the Barkas area, have a look into that and share with us in one of your future calls, all right?
Can I hold on and share with you after you come back from the break?
Yeah, if you want to. Then we got a couple of callers, so stay on. We'll get to you right after. Stay tuned, please.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Why work with a Suriba agent? We can tell you that those letters represent a proven understanding of the real estate market in the Cayman Islands. But it also means so much more than that. Our trained Suriba agents are committed to ethics, integrity, and excellence of practice. It's all about confidence, knowing you are working with a qualified Suriba agent. As members of Suriba, your trust is our promise. To find a Suriba agent today, or to search thousands of listens, visit Suriba.com. Suriba, the mark of excellence in real estate.
The Chamber of Commerce, in association with Foster's, is hosting a series of candidate forums. Candidates from each of the 19 constituencies respond to questions submitted by the public in a recent online chamber survey. Watch the forums by streaming the Chamber's or Radio Command's Facebook or YouTube channels on CIG TV or Logic Channel 23, weeknights from 7:15 p.m. Visit caymanchamber.ky for up-to-date election news and candidates' profiles. The forums are also proudly sponsored by DART, Affinity Recruitment, and Bodden's Legal and Corporate.
And now a paid political message from the Progressives.
The strength of a team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. This election, vote for an experienced government. Vote for a government who leads with you in mind. And vote for a government who has a trusted and reliable track record. The Progressives have guided us safely through one of the most dangerous periods in our history. The Progressives have shown us the importance of working together to strengthen and protect our islands. Together, we're stronger. On April 14th, vote for a stronger, safer future. Vote Progressives.
Put your X for the Progressives. Serving you is the objective.
This is the paid advertisement by the Progressives.
The Ministry of Education provides funding to assist Caymanian children who turn 3 years old before September the 1st to attend an early childhood centre. This funding is available through the Early Childhood Assistance Programme, ECAP. Parents and guardians are now invited to submit ECAP applications for the upcoming 2021 to 2022 academic year. Application forms are available at the Government Administration Building, early childhood centres across the island, or online from the Ministry's website at www.education.gov.ky. For further information, please call the Early Childhood Unit at 244-3155. Completed application forms may be emailed to ecap@gov.ky, that's ECAP@gov.ky, or delivered to the Government Administration Building.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us in respect to the call online and the others. So let's see if we can get them all in between now and 2. Thanks for holding on, man, and appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
All right, so without rushing you, just maybe you go right ahead. I was going to ask you about Bacchus and the like and some of the things there, but maybe as you do further research, I've seen a number of petitions circulating relative to the proposed developments in that area, from the pier to all the other things, allegedly project that is almost sold out without probably going through the full planning processes yet. But a lot of conjecture and speculation, a lot of concern and comment. But to what extent do we have sufficient input and insight into what is transpiring?
Right. So a couple of things, and just real quickly, if I can touch on the guest that you had in the studio earlier with the coral disease. That is a very concerning issue, and I think everybody needs to pay attention and follow the guidelines that the experts have given and help to try to reduce and eliminate the chances of that disease being spread, because as you know, if the coral disappears, fish disappear, and fish and coral disappear, tourism will struggle beyond, I think, anything that anybody's ever seen in these islands. So we've got a real concern there that they find either a cure for it or somehow stop it. But it was very concerning there as well. But that all plays into the environment, right? And if we are destroying our ecosystem at the pace that we're going, I don't think any disease is fast enough that it will catch up with the amount of destruction that we're doing on a development level. So with that, the Barkers area, Bacchus as we call it,
Bacchus, yeah.
People who know it, right?
That's what it is,
Bacchus,
man. Bacchus, yeah.
Yeah, so Bacchus is the area that, thank God, and thank lucky stars that those that own the land there, which a big chunk of it is private, a big chunk of it is Crown, and the largest private landowner in that area is also the, as far as I've come to understand and seen from the registers on the record, the company is owned by the DART corporation family, that side of things. So, he is one of the largest landowners in Cayman, as most people are aware of now, and he does own the significant amount of barcas, especially those areas where have been, used by the local population to camp and do their fishing. So he already owns it. The proposal that they had to move the Calico Jack bar there with the ludicrous request to dig up 2 football fields of turtle grass so that they could have a 7-mile beach there. We protested it in West Bay, and a lot of people from around the island came out, supported it, and thank God that it's not a dead deal yet, because I've heard that the proposal is still with the cabinet and that they haven't decided on it, and I don't understand why they couldn't just quickly say no. Like if they come in, like they can't say no to anything with regards to development, but it didn't go through. And last I heard, that project was scrapped, and I think that came about mainly because there was such a large outcry from the population. So our voices have been heard. Our voices make a difference. So don't make any having a doubt that we can make a difference. And I think we got to do the same thing with anything that we find that will destroy this environment. With regards to another development there, the Barcas Beach Resort, it's not in the Barcas area. It's Captain Eugene owned a piece of land. He sold it, and there's a proposal that a 5-story, probably 6 or 7-story, when you look at the height of it, is being proposed. And I objected to the closeness of that development to where the high water mark is. And I was told in a public meeting by the developer that they have now gone back. And I feel like the protest against it, my own, and as well as many others, helped to go, push back on it. That they said that they're requested for a further setback from what the minimal requirement is by the planning laws, where it's 7 to 5 feet from the high water mark. So I'm happy to hear that they decided to push it further back than they proposed. So, that doesn't take away from the fact that we're going to have a lot of changes in that area. And those that live in that area, I own land in the area, not that thing, but it's concerning because this overdevelopment is going to affect families that are already there. So we have to fight. We have to fight as Caymanians, and we have to protect what's left, because it's being taken away at a rapid rate. My kids, I fear that they may not have anything. What happens after that generation of the 5 and 6-year-old?
Right.
It's a scary thing to know that it's not going to be the same as you and me growing up.
Well, your passion is without question, evident. Maybe others would understand the importance of collective action in a concerted way that is not only civilized, but is poised to allow people to take a proactive stand. So I appreciate very much, you taking the extended time to share with us and enlighten and educate and inform, and maybe encourage others to likewise, not be so coward in our endeavors. Thanks much, man.
Enough cowardness to it. Just people, they forget, they get so busy. So I just ask people to listen. You got ways to make things happen, and one of those right now is the objections to that proposal. Go to Cayman Beach Watch. They have a objection letter there and lots of information. But tomorrow is the deadline. So if you think it's nothing you can do, all it takes is one person to object and make a difference. So the more we have, the better. So I recommend everybody doing it. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for the time, and I appreciate it. And you're doing a wonderful job. Keep it up, and I support you all the way.
All right, well, thank you very much for the encouragement. And with the greatest respect to other calls online, we're going to take our news if you would be so gracious and hospitable. Stay online, accept our apology. 2 minutes, and we'll be right back to you.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Shanda Gallego from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Government reported the results of 295 COVID tests. All came back negative. So far, 28,248, that's 43% of the estimated population, have received at least one dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, with 23% having completed the 2-dose course. Turning to international news now, the man suspected of shooting dead 10 people at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado, has made his first appearance in court. The presiding judge said Ahmad Al-Issa, 21, would remain held without bail as he granted a mental health hearing requested by a defense lawyer. The Syrian-born U.S. citizen is charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder. He did not enter a plea in court. The victims of the attack on March 22nd were aged between 20 and 65. And U.S. TV show host Jay Leno has said sorry for making a long-running series of jokes about Asian American people. Leno, who hosted The Tonight Show for more than 20 years until 2014, admitted he had committed a legitimate wrong. His apology follows a lengthy campaign by the Media Action Network for Asian Americans and a spike in hate crimes. Last week, 6 Asian American women were killed in a shooting in Atlanta, along with 2 other people. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks to DJ Lynn for managing it so effectively, and to you for being online and being so patient as we go straight to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks again for staying on.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good. I had quite a lot to talk about, but since the other guy was on before me, I know he took up a lot of time,
yes,
which was very important, but I put my hand up to him. But I want to bring the attention to Reno election is right around the corner on the 14th of April. And I know a lot of the members of Parliament are having their meeting, and then we have new ones that is fighting for the seat. But I would like to publicly say that the people that are members of Parliament now, they need to have a little respect for who they are and what they stand for. You know, they need to stop bashing each other, run a clean political meeting, stop calling names, hold their heads up, and stop putting people down. You know, the old people used to say, if you spit in the sky, it will fall into your eye. So they need to stop bashing one another, just run a clean campaign, and we will see exactly who they are and what they stand for. We Caymanians have had a lot of respect, and we do not know who is listening to these political meetings or what they are saying, but it is going worldwide. And we all need, from the premier right down to the communist person that is running, they need to have respect. Sometimes I get so upset, I just have to turn the radio off, and it's like, is this what Cayman is coming to do? You know, we really have to say a prayer now until the 14th of April, because we have to make a change for the better. We have to stand for dignity, integrity, as the old people used to do. We never had one person that would go and have a political meeting and talk about the other people and bash them and put all kinds, forget about what they do. Hold your head up and run your campaign clean and without scandering people. It's uncalled for. We the people, we know who we're going to vote for, and we want to have a better island. So I am just appealing to all of those people that are up there, members of Parliament or the new ones that are trying to get a seat, please run a good campaign and stop bashing people. Have respect and some dignity. I will call you on another topic another time, but I know there's other people that would like to call in. Thank you for listening to me, Sterling.
Thank you so much for that impassioned plea, and as you add integrity, honesty goes right in there. So God bless you, Mom. Thank you for that. Let's go to the other caller. Again, thank you too for holding on and your patience. Good afternoon.
Good.
Yes, my friend. How are you?
Fine, man.
Man, listen, I couldn't get through to you the other day, but I'll try it again. Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, man. Just listen to everybody a lot. They know. And I hope they make it come in with straight and direct to what it means. Try to get on, you know. Don't just say it. You know, start doing something about it. What is it doing?
Yes, sir.
You see that bypass road going west way out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see how that done lift up? Like that done had that hill rise on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, you don't think they done had that plan to try to build something underneath that?
Well,
from a long time ago, they done had that border. And the person is claiming about they won't object to it. No. We didn't object to the hill rise. The hill rise was for burning more gas. You understand?
Right. But as I listen to you, it's... And I say this carefully because I'm not trying to be inflammatory. I just try to ask people to stop speaking to each other as if we're one disrespectful, or that you think that they is stupid or less intelligent than you, however you want to term it, right? There are times when we say as public officials or as private sector entities or as even adults and parents, well, this is above your pay grade, this doesn't concern you, it's commercially sensitive, it's privileged, it's of national security interest, something that somehow gives us a justification that this information that we have, you're not allowed to even know about it, right? And almost in the same breath, we talk about honesty and openness and accountability and transparency. We talk about integrity and ethics, and it's almost like you're looking at something and it's multiple faces on the same beast and all full of foolishness. You know what I mean? I don't know why. Maybe I'm just. You know what? Let me hear from you. Talk to me, bro. Talk to me.
No. All right. So you see the color. They come out to say that sunscreen really, has a little heavy effect on that. But guess what? Sunscreen is still being sold. Not true.
Boy, we package it and we take out some ingredients. You know what? I think we got so many deceitful, deceptive, self-serving people in position of authority that nobody has dropped alongside them and gave them a slap. Figuratively speaking. Yeah,
and just to be sure, just to make it clear, the person that turning their eye or turning their back towards it, right? They worsen.
Well, yeah. Omission and commission is always one and the same, no?
Yeah. So if we won't get hot, we can get hot. Don't worry, we can get hot, but guess what? When we get cold, oh God, everybody can just sit back and watch everybody catch fleas and die. You understand? That's brought about on this one tiny little speck of the island. You understand? So you imagine the education in the backwardness that going on this place for these amount of years. And then you got talk about me, talk about somebody else, or you want to be lazy, or this and that. You can't say nothing to me, boy.
Yeah, man.
No, man.
I think it is, as you're speaking, right? I was reminded of the lyrics of the Tim McGraw song, was it like "Live Like You Were Dying," right? Some may think that's a morbid song. Some may hear that you should live every day like it's your last. And my interpretation, so I could be wrong, but I think they misinterpret that as if they go out now and party hard, make as much money as they can that day, as opposed to what I think it is: appreciating every moment, cherishing every memory, embracing, everything is sweet, from the sunset to the conversation, to that game of dominoes, to that fish deed that you're running with your brother, to the things that we have taken for granted as if tomorrow, is that promised gift. And what we were told once, here today, gone tomorrow, but sadly we're reminded that here today, sadly, maybe gone today. And we destroy everything, man. We get, anyway, it's just...
No one. Almost everybody got a problem with somebody on the island, on this little small little island. They got some little skiff or some little, some little
yeah, man.
Yeah. They just They don't have not even consultants to say, well, let me bring the two on back together. You understand?
No mediators, no arbitrators, nobody willing to help to find a way to bring people together. See, we're more alike than we are different, yet we let those differences separate us, right? We can't get in cast each other because of color, ethnicity, economic.
Yeah. we're not supposed to be like that.
No, man.
No. But all even, you see this about the marine parks and things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they were really, really thinking smart, right, they should have turned those marine parks into little farms. You understand?
There's much to be
fish
can.
farms, you understand?
Yeah.
But no,
Right.
because that will bring the cost of fish down.
It's
you will have more food to raise babies and children. That means more problems.
Yeah.
Like what they say, the voices. If you got less voices, nobody can hear you.
Yeah, man. I got to rush you, but I want to be mindful of your time as well as the other callers online. What else you want to share with me, my friend?
I need to hold up no time.
I know, man.
Thank you very much for the time.
Listen, I want to look out for my call, right? For some reason I was misdialing or something, but I want to check about the thing that we talked about. That's down the road.
No problem.
All right, bro.
Go.
Yeah, man. Cool now. Let's go to the next line. Hey, thank you too. And I've been talking much. Let me listen more. Good afternoon.
Yes, hi, Sterling. How are you?
Oh, man. I am blessed and eternally grateful. How about you?
I'm blessed too.
Amen.
Very much.
Right.
I just want to say that my little lady friend called before this caller.
Mm-hmm.
She is 1,000%.
Yep, a million billion percent, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. And everything that she says, I am with her for that. Because, Sterling,
yes, ma'am.
We are not setting an example for our children.
Sadly.
That's what we are doing here and don't even realize it. Plus, you have youth parliament. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to say that even with this debate that is going on, it's a shame to know that half of these people are not even showing up because of this and that and blah, blah, blah. You know, it is a shame to see that this is what our island has come to, especially they have the opportunity to go and have a debate to help give us proper some ideas if we should really switch and go to the other side and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're not giving us nothing. So I just want to say all those that still out there that have to go and do this debate, they need to get out there, show their face, answer the questions, and put all hatred behind each individual.
Yes,
because this island is too small to have any enemies still, because you're going to buck up on each other sooner or later.
Yeah,
in the church door, or the grocery store, and you name it.
Right, well, from the barroom stool to the church pew, we probably see the same people, right?
You know what I mean?
But as you share that, though, I think that, well, you know what, maybe I'll say that comment as we go to the next caller, but you first, if there was something else you wanted to share.
And I was agreeing with some of the stuff that little young man was just saying as well, too, because, you know, I have never seen a place in my world, I travel a little bit, that can hold hatred and malice and vexation for so long. It's just Cayman Island.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we can hold it, Sterling.
Boy, I tell you.
And all that do just eat you inside out, and you can't get put forward because it is eating you up. It is heavy, and it has no value to
it.
But yet they enjoy living their life like that. It is a shame, Sterling.
All right.
Sad.
Blessings to you, Mom. All right.
Yes, my dear. You take care, and good luck to all of the runners.
There you go.
Boy and girl.
Yep, there you go. Thank you, Mom. All right, let's take one more before we go to the next break. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yes, Sterling.
Bro, what's up? What's up, man?
Yeah, man, Sterling. Give me 2 minutes before the 2:15 break.
Yeah, man.
Sterling, listen up. Hear the beat now. Right? When they have the chance, yes, they were calling talking about contradiction.
Right.
Like they had a chance to opportunity to cap, to dump off. Right? Or said that in the area, in the Lagos, or elsewhere. Right? She showed a proportion. For decades, she piling up. She so. Okay? That kind of like an affirmative action that fade away decades ago. Okay? Darling, you talk about the war qualified candidates, not BS to me. BS.
Okay.
Right? In my point of view now, political literacy or correctness is a demise. See? Darling, listen.
I'm listening.
Anywhere, regional, international, right? Indoctrinated, right? If he's structuring a spectrum of doctrines or the common man, the politician or diehard aspect of point of view, it's successful. See? Turn around time, right? You itemize distributions, inventory, right? In my topic now, then I spend a grand 50 on herbs, so I get passionate about it, right? It's reputable, despite the reputation of it. You see where I come from?
Yeah.
So then, listen, the prohibition of alcohol, right? That's forbidden, right? And Al Capone do it. That bended law operative. You understand? And so then, gold, narcotics, and oil developed a certain continent. Association, investigation. So, then we knew them. Ultimate error. I hate it all the time. It cannot mean a man can this. This my phone now. Nobody will do. So then, when I take pace, then I do what I do. Right? But I let myself down. One day, I got run now.
You should, man.
I got to do it now. I'm confident in self-esteem. But then I only got 2 votes now. Whoever my wife is and me. I tried. Give up my $1,000. I tried. Son, but I fall down. So, like I said, this election is critical. Right? We got look around long term. Don't solve so here. You understand?
Yeah, man.
It's something different there. I know you're going to break time now. People, like I said, it's my drive, right? It's my punchline. People understand, but my proposition, I overstand. Or the rising. Okay?
Yeah, man.
So, more time.
More time, bro. More time. All right. With great respect again, let's pause, take the final break. When we come back, we'll continue with our callers. Thank you for sharing with us.
At Subway, we know a meal isn't quite complete without a side, and that's why we're introducing waffle fries. Subway's waffle fries are oven-baked softness with extra crispy edge, giving a satisfying taste to be enjoyed as is or in any of Subway's dipping sauces. Order waffle fries as a side item for $2 or make it a meal deal with any sandwich or salad with a 20-ounce drink and waffle fries for an additional $3 or a 30-ounce or bottle drink and waffle fries for an additional $3.50. Subway. Eat fresh.
The committee to elect Mario Ebanks for West Bay West invites all constituents and the general public to a campaign rally on Thursday, March 25th at 7 p.m. at the Club Inferno parking lot on Hell Road. There will be guest speakers on important district and national topics. Light refreshments will be provided. Come one, come all.
Making a dent in traffic congestion is everyone's responsibility. This March 22nd to the 26th, join your community for Car Free Week, a countrywide initiative by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, carpooling, cycling, public transport. Join a park and ride program, or perhaps working from home. Your boss will understand. Visit energy.gov.ky for more information for park and ride options. Take the Car Free Pledge and enter into the raffle. Traffic may stand still, but the Car Free movement is moving ahead. Join your community. Take the pledge March 22nd to the 26th.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you aware of the performance of your pension plan? The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan provides quarterly fund fact sheets for our members to stay informed with the plan's performance. For the year ended August 31st, various life cycle funds provided returns between 9.2% and 16.5%, and our all-in expense ratio is currently the lowest it's ever been, a record low at 0.72%. Visit chamberpension.ky to review our fund fact sheets. You can see the performance as far back as 10 years. Remember that pensions are a longer-term investment strategy. Focus on the long term rather than the short-term returns. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan continues to perform for you.
Georgetown West voters, Dr. Kendrick Webster is inviting you to a yard meeting Saturday, March 27th at number 73 Newport Avenue, Georgetown at 7:30 p.m. All Georgetown West voters are invited to a yard meeting Saturday, March 27th, held by candidate Dr. Kendrick Webster at number 73 Newport Avenue, Georgetown at 7:30 p.m.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. It's open line, and to our callers, we're really grateful for your patience and for your willingness to share. So let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Sterling, that's me.
Hi, how are you today?
I am excellent.
You sound like you are. Amen.
God be the glory.
Amen, amen.
But I called today to get a message out there today. But before I get into that, I want to say the lady that called in about their fighting and bickering and beating up on each other, these candidates, I think all of or most of the candidates out there needs to take a leaf out of that young man, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, book. Most of them needs to take a leaf out of his book and go by it. It is just ridiculous what they're going on with out there.
But if that is the case, right, and as voters in particular, but the populace in general, if we see a leadership, and since we're talking politics, and since we have an impending election, some would say impending doom, but we won't try to jest in that marine. Do we not know better as voters to make a decision to say, well, you know what, we don't like your conduct, the example you're setting, the tone that you're sort of, leading off with, and make it a decision partially influenced by that as well? Or will we continue to just follow suit?
Something. There are some voters or people that follows these campaigns, and they laugh. They take it as a big joke. It's like they don't know any different. They don't speak up about it. They take it as a big joke when nasty things are said about another candidate. Most of their followers and voters that are present in these meetings, they laugh and grin about it, and I think it's sad.
Well,
it is sad because we are such a small community or island, and the people, I think, unity, they should pull together more. Whether I know where my vote is going, and I don't have to go out there and speak bad about Tom, Dick, or Harry, because I already follow, I already research, I already know, where my vote is going. But you are going out there, and in order to try to get re-elected, have to tear someone down or not try to lift them up. We all should be trying to lift up one another.
That's it, man. Well, it's a rising tide floats all ships. So I appreciate it, man. We need to look for the positiveness, and we need to look to how to bring us closer together. But thank you very much, okay?
What I really call about today, Sterling,
okay.
Real quickly, I know your time is drawing near. I need to get a message out there to the restaurants. Sterling, it is upsetting and disgusting to see the food that these restaurants are putting out nowadays, especially a lot of the local ones. And I am dead serious about this. They need to take better care and look into preparing their food that they are selling to people. And some of them are selling so expensive. I mean, they're filling up your plate, a full plate of rice. They don't take the time to prepare the food. They're not saying like get some little thing different beside some cut up lettuce and a plate full of rice and a little piece of meat. It is just ridiculous. I cook and I used to cater. I rarely cater anymore because, let me tell you, that's one of the reasons. Because in order to cook properly, you need to prepare your food properly.
Yep, true.
It is just disgusting out there, the food. You're paying $10, $11, $12 for a plate of food. 3 days straight now, I buy food, and I kept it in my car and take it home for the cats or for the chickens.
Well, maybe go back to the place you bought it and say, listen, this is not acceptable. Sometimes, we need to be told and remind you. But a good appeal. Thank you for that. With great deference to you. Let's take the other call and see if we can move along and hear everybody's contribution. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you doing?
I am blessed. How about yourself, man?
The same.
True that, no?
Good afternoon to the listening public and the 3 islands of the Cayman Islands.
And to West Bay. 4 islands? Okay, sorry.
Right. As the chairman of the West Bay Action Committee, we had certainly a very interesting meeting last night, and we are making very much progress in our intention of forming a district council. We also go into other districts as well, and informing them of the powers of district council. Once people realize the authority and powers of a district council, then I'm sure they certainly going to take advantage in forming one. What we see happening here, it is unacceptable in this island. The chosen few who calling the shots into this island, it's unacceptable. I don't have time to say that, but we are also now watching the political candidates and paying keen attention to what they're saying and their attitudes as well. Cayman Islands is for the people, by the people. We have no more time to waste. We are here and will be expanding our authority in near future that we can have district council because we're getting the information we need. The Constitution calls for it, and say no more because some things it's not good to say. You keep it to yourself, okay, until the time is ready. But we're well on the way, so I am happy to report in the gentleman that was speaking earlier about the meeting last night. He's one of the key speakers in one of the young men that are putting things together. We need the young people to come on board, and they are coming on board.
Yes, sir.
It is so important to have these district councils. We are the power for the people by the people. We don't want too much political rhetoric, with no disrespect, but that's why we sort of stepped aside. With these meetings, we wanted to have non-political so we can move forward with our intentions. Once the wider people see what we're doing, I think they will appreciate it and jump on board as well.
Yes,
and
sir.
Thank you so much for having my little time on here this evening, so we talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank you. You're most welcome, sir, and to all our stalwarts in the community to make the society safer. Thank you. Perhaps this is our final call. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Yo, Amjad, what's happening, man? How are you?
Boy, I don't know what's happening. It shocked me, Dwayne, to see that a Caymanian, there is a video circulating in the area of Georgetown North. This man is homeless from long time. He's staying in somebody's building, and then they destroy this building, and maybe they want to build or something. So the man is homeless, and there is a lot of them, especially in Waltham Park, in Swamp. A lot of them homeless people, which is people claim, oh, Mr. Joey Hugh is the nicest one in the world. He's done this, done that. And where is he done? What he done for those community, the poor community?
But let me ask, right? And for a couple of reasons. I mean, it's easy sometimes to pick the low-hanging fruit. Sometimes it's easier to look at people and say they're nice, so therefore they're good, or we can say they're not nice and therefore they're bad. But where can we get to the space and the place where we get people to move along and get things done and not get caught up in the political rhetoric, their personal differences and indiscretions? Respectfully, help me to get us to a space, whether we get rid of the people that are in position, politically elected or appointed, or they've been nominated to some place, elevated otherwise. If they're not effective, give them the tools to make them better. If we give them the tools and still can't cut the mustard, then we move them along. But let's get to that space where we're finding effective, timely solutions. Help me to get there today.
Yeah, Dwayne, look, the solution is that people need to realize that this government is not doing any good job. The PPM
Okay, that's your view. Okay, great.
Is very bad, doing very bad job. If a Caymanian is homeless in his own country, we have almost 30,000 foreigners in Cayman, right? And where we find one foreigner is homeless, is you find Caymanian homeless, you find Caymanian hungry, you find Caymanian in bad situation, and majority of those homeless in Georgetown are in Georgetown North.
And that's a statistic that you have? I mean, that's something that you can substantiate.
And it's very bad.
Okay.
It is very bad that we say this person is good or nice. I'm not saying Mr. Hugh is not nice person.
But indirectly you are, right? I mean, you see, I don't want to sound like I defending anybody, and I'm not one that want to beat up on the vulnerable or the infirm. But maybe we can get away from the personal animosities, the insignificant peculiarities of some. Now, we elect people unless there's alleged widespread fraud in their electoral process, which thankfully we haven't even seen any semblance of that to date. It is us that are electing people, whether we're influenced by the vote buying that is alleged, whether we're duped by the promises that are spouted, or whether we just, flickering a coin, A versus B. But we certainly must be better at coming up with something more tangible that can move us forward. How can we get to that space?
Dwayne, when you elect somebody in the legislation assembly, his job is to take care of his people. His job to find what is the real issues. If they need a place to live, he need to find a way to find a place for those Caymanians to live. They are Caymanians. They are not come from Timbuktu. Not the people of this country don't elect people like David White to sit down.
Let me ask a question respectfully. What is it that we want from those people we've elected? Do we want a handout for them, or for them to put in place policies, legislation, and the like to ensure that there are fair and equal access to the opportunities? Do we want the politicians that we've elected to come every so often and give us $25 or $25,000, whatever the sum is that we think is ours, or do we want them to get on to the job where we are not constantly at them about this, that, and the next thing that may be helpful to us in the short term on a personal level, but instead they're doing things that are moving the country forward? What is it that we want from them? Because some of them over the years may have been effective, some of them may not even be worth the paper that we put the X on, but still, is it them that is at fault, or us that are putting them there for the first time or repeatedly?
Yeah, Dwayne, look, there is people, they don't worth the X.
Yeah.
And one of them is all of them is called PPM members.
All right. I'll tell you what. You know what? Maybe tomorrow, since the time is now, let's get on to that. But I don't mind if you beat up on politicians, but offer up a constructive solution, not just to this call up with everybody else. If the guy who is elected, when I say guy, male or female, isn't your cup of tea, hey, campaign against them, vote for somebody else. If the person they like, go ahead and champion them. But are we prepared? And I say this respectfully with the greatest of, well, maybe not necessarily that, because sometimes we say things and people misunderstand, misinterpret, misconstrue, maybe we misrepresent. But let's instead focus on changing that person that reflects upon us when we look in the mirror, as opposed to trying to change others. If each of us make ourselves better, then, well, everybody else is better, right? What is it that we used to hear growing up in West Bay? When somebody asks you what happened, you say, well, what happened? Maka kill the captain. End of the day, my friends, we're about working together and making it better. If we make it better for each and every one of us, it's going to be better for all of us. If we work to improve who we are through our education, through our commitment, our honesty and integrity, our sense of self-worth and self-esteem raises the bar for others. A rising tide floats all the ships, right? This is a beautiful place, but it's going to get worse if we don't make it better by working together. It's going to get better if we honestly respect ourselves and respect each other. The person who looks different from you, acts different, smiles different, maybe smell different, maybe talk differently, hey, they're human. You cut me, do I not bleed? If they hunger and thirst, should we not reach out to them? If they may have a different perspective, doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's different from ours. We are more alike than we are different. And just because a person has been elevated to a position where we elected them or we appointed them to high office, whether it's in the judiciary, the politics, the education, the ecclesiastic positions, they're still people. They need to be reminded to be accountable, but we need to be respectful of the position and we be responsible in actions. At the end of the day, as we go to the polls, if we do so from an informed perspective, we will appreciate the service and sacrifice of ancestors to defend the democracy that we have. And the politician is going to bluster and going to try to do things to pacify and placate. They're also going to probably do things that we may think is a bullying effort to threaten and intimidate. But don't we as voters do the same? Well, if you don't give me this, you're not getting my vote. Well, those are the things that we say. So let's stand in the gap, let's be honorable, let's have integrity, and as the later caller prior said, let's ensure that there is an example that we set that our children can follow, but that we can be proud of, not just because they looked at from overseas and across the pond, but because we, as people, look at each other with a healthy sense of respect. Being a bit cynical is one thing. To have a healthy dose of skepticism is another. But to be honest and to thine own self be true, well, maybe that's the paramount calling. Hey, tomorrow is another day. In my books, it's Friday. Yeah, I thought today was Friday, but I was taking that from Tuesday. And God's willing, you come back and join Mr. Art in the morning for the record. Join us for more talk today after midday news and midday meditation. As we critique the political landscape, let's find ways to improve it so the next time around is better. And let us look at each other with a healthy sense of respect and a true commitment on our own to improve who we are. Not worrying about the other person and that they should be better. Let's make ourselves better. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history.